What is technical design? How can we help you? First of all, some introductions. On the left, we have Michelle from Sheffield Studio. On the right, we have me from Nottingham Studio. This is a cross-studio talk aimed to unify and define what technical design is for the wider Sumo group. So the first half of talk. What is technical design? Well, technical design is a relatively new and misunderstood form of the design department. It exists in many different forms across the games industry. Sometimes it doesn't exist at all in the studio, and sometimes it exists under the code department. At Sheffield and Nottingham Studio, we have 15 technical designers. On the board above are some of the job titles our technical designers held for joining us at Sumo. I'm long-sighted. As you can see, some of these are just technical design under a different label. And some of these are completely different. Which highlights to me that technical design was widely known entry point into the industry. It wasn't for me anyway. On the board where me and Michelle live. Michelle's had a few more jobs from me. But I would like to take my what looks like a small journey, but it's 17 years long. When I left university, there wasn't many known routes to games industry. Like there were main ones like artist, designer, coder. There was level design, and I wanted to be a programmer. So I applied for my first role, and they sat me down, and I did a psychometric test to find out who I really am. And apparently they knew me better than me, because they put me in a different role than I applied for, and that role was called setup technician. Now, it was like a technical design role, except it didn't have any agency, no creativity. We just put stuff that people had built in the editor in the game world. And my next job, I got as a game designer, and they wanted me for my technical skills. But they only had game design, and they wanted everybody to have like the same sort of job title and same sort of role. We did everything. But I mainly did all the technical stuff. And halfway through my time there, which was 13 years, they realized technical design was a thing. But I kept my same job title. And then finally 2 years ago, I moved to Sumo and I got my real job title of technical designer. Now, why does all this matter? Well, for 14 years of my career, I spent my time under the wrong job title. And this matters because I was also judged under the wrong job title. As a games designer, people looked at my creative side when it came to measuring my performance, and less about the technical aspects, less about the scripts I've written, less about what I built particularly. And this really slowed down my career a bit. And it wasn't until Sumo when it started to take off again. So what is technical design? Well, we actually haven't said. And to get there, I want to go a little bit back and find out how technical design came about. So how did it develop? I'm going to take you through a short story. Once upon a time, there was a single developer, and this developer did all the roles. They were producer, programmer, designer, QA, artist. They did everything. Possibly in their parents' house, possibly in their bedroom or garage. But then games got more complex. The technology was better, and the demand for games was higher. So this person couldn't do it alone and had to work with friends to make it happen. So there became departments. There was a production department, code department, design department, QA department. and they all work together to make the game. And then games got more complex, and we started to need specialists. Focusing solely on the design department, we had level design, narrative design, UX UI design, mission scripters, all kinds of designers. And here's where we come to technical design, and I'm going to hand you over to Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Right, so, as Stu says, when I first started, I was called an integrator, and that was a lot of designers that were called integrators, and we had to script all the missions in C++ in Visual Studio. And you can imagine how the pure designers handled that. Not very well. I actually had some coding experience, so I was all right with it, but it was a nightmare for the other guys, because they were not technical, and they didn't need to be. That wasn't the point. So, why is it important? We're going to say this a lot, what is tech design? It's hard to fit it in this talk, so it's going to be cliff notes, but we come about and we're important because there are lots of problems in the development studios and on people. Now, last year, Timber Games did an awesome talk about siloing, productivity, and inclusion. If you didn't see it, I suggest you look it up. But they had lots of points in there where they were talking about problems that you get with team communication and things like that. They had this slide with this little cartoon, which might be familiar to a lot of you. Now, this problem has drifted over my time in the industry. It used to be this, that you would just give a design to a programmer, they would make what was written, and they'd give it you back, and that was it, and you couldn't iterate. That's how it used to be. It's not like that now. Everyone tries to help a bit more. We have more communication. We try and talk, but you still get the situation where you get not what you asked for. Now, I'm going to show a very basic example of one of the root causes of this. Now, when I go and do school outreach, I do this to the 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds to show them examples of problems that you get in the workplace. And this is your part for audience participation this early in the morning when you're all still a bit sluggish. So, you know, you've got to do good because you've got to beat the kids. So I want you to tell me, by shouting out, you can do it all together, I'm not going to pick on people, you just have to do it together. What is the first word you think of when I say language?
Localization.
That's a good one.
Programmer?
Yeah, come on, some more.
That was French?
Yeah.
Communication.
Yep.
Maths.
Yep. Yep, you're getting closer. Misunderstandings are very good.
We had the winner over there.
We did.
C++.
There's one of the root causes of the problems for communication. You'll have more creative people and young people that will instantly go to the spoken languages when you say the word language, like French, English, Chinese. You will have more technical people that will go for localization because they work with it a lot. C++, C#, Java. Now, this is a very simple example because language is a very simple word. It is supposed to be clear. If you conflate this to a design document with lots of words in, with people reading it who English is not their first language to add an extra barrier, you can see how you get given something that you didn't ask for. Because you did get what you asked for, it's just what they thought you asked for, not what you actually asked for. So you have this issue. This is where technical design can help, because we can help translate it. This is not the only thing that we help with, but this is some of the fundamental problems that we have, not just in this industry, but all industries, but because ours is so creative and it's so tactile to the people that are playing it, it's more obvious that it is. So, in an ideal world, which is not a world I agree with at all your programmers are supposed to be creative, all your creative people are supposed to have some technical knowledge as well, so that you can all talk together. I do not like that world, I do not want to live in it. It is not ideal by any way. I'm going to do some even more audience participation because you didn't all shout out and you were scared. So, everyone, if you would call yourself creative, raise your hand. That's quite a lot of you. Now, of all of you, if you're technical, keep your hand up. If you wouldn't call yourself technical, put your hand down. You see how many people lowered their hands? Multiply that out by how many game studios there are around the world and how many teams we've got. You see how much we're restricting the people that can make games? That's not an ideal world, is it? That's not a perfect idea. Not every designer has to be technical. Not every programmer has to be creative. There are so many people around that can do so much better at those jobs than I could that I would never call myself creative or technical because you guys in this room are so much better at both sides of them than me. But I can help both of you talk, and that's where our true power in technical design lives. So that's why there's a nice purple blob in the design department on there. because we can help with all of these things. We can help take burdens off of you so that you don't have to worry about it. If you're too busy trying to think of all of the problems and all of the solutions and deal with it all yourself, you're looking over in one direction, you're not looking at the cheeky kid behind you that's nicking the cookies. And they're causing another problem because you're not watching that, because you physically can't do it all. And that's one of the problems we've noticed in our studios, is that we try to take on too much and we try to do too much with too few people. So let us help, and it will be easier on us all to make the games. So I jumped ahead and I've already talked about this a little bit, but why do we need to adapt? Well, all the reasons I've just said. We're all doing too much, it doesn't work, it makes us stressed, it makes us burned out. But games are getting bigger and more complicated, the engines are getting bigger and more complicated, the tools are more complicated, and we need more tools, and we're working cross-department, cross-project, cross-studio, and across the world. So that's all going to cause even more problems for it all. So let's help each other. You don't have to be creative, you don't have to be technical. We're here in the middle. Trust me when I say we want to help, we want to make it easier. You don't want to do the technical stuff? Don't. Just write what the game design is in the game design. Write what the player's supposed to feel and what you want to be able to tweak. Don't try and worry about how to implement it. Leave that to me and code to worry about. We will work together to find a good solution. If we can't find a solution, then we'll come back to you and get you to redesign it. But don't hamstring your design right from the start by trying to help code out to make their lives a bit easier, because more often than not, it makes it harder. There's been no end of times in previous studios in my career where I've had to go to design and say, we can't make this, you're going to have to change it. And they've gone, well, actually, I wanted this. Why didn't you ask for that in the first place? That was easier and we could do it, rather than wasting 2 months trying to do this mangled mess that you asked for. Ask for what you need and we will try and give it you together.
Thanks, Michelle. So as we can see, technical design sits between design and code. And technical design doesn't work as a siloed department, they work between departments. Here we have technical design overlapping with design and code. Technical designers help craft the vision to workable language, and working with a code team, the technical design department help create a working feature to meet the design requirements. But it's not just between design and code. We work between all departments, helping to translate the design vision to what the QA department needs, or what the production team department need. Yeah. And for everyone. We need to all work together to realize the design vision. So, what does technical design do? So, implementation of gameplay functionality and tools using editor-based scripting. And a simpler translation would be that we build stuff in the editor. And this is literally what I did in my first job. And I want to say that we don't just do this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Like other disciplines, coders do not just code, artists do not just make art, and especially for this one, quality assurance testers do not just play the game, they do so much more. So I'm going to take you through a small summary of what we are doing over the 3 main stages of development for our games. The conception stage. This is for the early formation of ideas, and we help leverage our creative members by using our technical skills to create feasible solutions. We validate the design process without restricting the creativity of it. Yes, we build prototypes and we love doing it. But the prototyping is not just our burden, it's on the code department as well. And we can answer different questions that the code department can answer. The code department can focus on answering technical questions, and we can help with the creative questions. Creative questions such as, how does a hook shot work when we hook an enemy, a friend, a missile? And they can focus on technical questions like, how many enemies can we run at the same time? This allows us to create prototypes that can be more easily pivoted or iterated based on design feedback, and without having to rewrite costly code. We also help identify risk and get answers to feasibility of features earlier and less cost. The pre-production phase is where we prepare for the final stage. It's about getting ready and getting our ducks in a row. We create documentation for all departments to get buy-in and feedback and minimize the risk and maximize the output of our features. Everyone's involved in this process. And we make sure that everybody gets what they need before we move on to production. We create tools for implementation, such as placement validations for level design to make sure that they can put the features in safe places. But we expose the right variables for all our team members to be able to configure our features in the areas that need to be. We design for reusability and scalability, setting up the correct parent-child hierarchy, for example, so that we can make different versions of an object without redoing the logic. We also create our objects agnostically, which means that we create a switch. This switch can turn on a light, but we can also use the same switch and the same bit of logic to turn on something else, like a generator or a door. All this is done in collaboration with the entire team to make sure all departments have what they need. And our final stage is production. And we can help out with that too. It's about finishing the game, shipping it in the best quality possible. And we can help with optimization duties. We are deeply in the editor, and we know how to optimize the assets and the scripts for our technical limitations. We assist in debugging as well, and we love doing this at this stage. And we can really relieve the burden on the programming team by doing this. One of the things we like to do is to take a bug and look at it and find out whereabouts in the code this actually occurs. And we can either fix it ourselves, or we can pass it on to the code department or the team member who actually can fix it. Sometimes it's an art problem, sometimes it's a code problem, but the bug will not tell you which. We can tell them, and we can save time. We continue to uphold standards and best practices for scripting and asset creation, validating check-ins and ensuring the high quality build before we go to cert. And yes, collaboration is here again, because technical design department will always be collaborating and working with other team members, because we want to make the design vision sing in our final product. Now I'm going to pass you back to Michelle to go deeper into a few things that we are doing.
Right, so I'm aware at the minute, everything that we've just said on that day-to-day slides for the different projects, I know we're not doing all of it right now. Because it's difficult when we don't know who's responsible for things, which department is responsible for it, which designer is responsible for it, and we're all trying to do too much. So this is part of what we want to start doing, is to make it a bit more clear who to come to help with what problems, and who to free up so that they can actually focus on the stuff that we can't do. Because I cannot do proper programmer jobs, and I can't do the proper design jobs, but I can help with these little bits in the middle, which some of you might not want to do. If you do want to do it, that's great, and you can. I'm not going to stop you, but I am going to make you abide by my standards for it. So what are we doing right now? Well, this may look familiar to a lot of you. This is a programmer's worst nightmare. This is also my worst nightmare. Do not make blueprints like that. Very bad. No, never. Yes, I've seen them in production games. If I see any of you doing it, I'm going to get grumpy. Don't, because it is really bad. Really bad. It's impossible to see the logic flow. It's impossible to hand over to anyone else. If you get hit by a bus, some poor soul's going to have to try and figure that stuff out. And I've been there and done that. It's not fun. Just don't do it. You can't track down the bugs. It's inefficient just by the fact that you can't know what's going off. It's unreliable because you can't see what's going off. And it's just not fun. Don't do it. How do we stop it? Scripting standards. Do as I say. I'm going to say that like that. Do as I say. We are making scripting standards. We've not fully rolled them out yet. Us, Nottingham, all of the technical designers are feeding into it, and we're going to have it all up on pages so that everyone can access and see it. And we're going to suggest, I use the word suggest, but you know what I mean. We're going to have some processes that are going to go in there to do it. If you want to help us and be involved with these standards to make sure we course everything, come and talk to me. My ears are wide open. I'm human, we make mistakes, I will have missed things. Point them out, please. It's very helpful. So to go with the scripting standards, we've got some review areas that we're going to start implementing across some of the projects. Sorry, Sheffield, you're going to be first. Nottingham will join us when they're ready for it. Now, these review areas are not just at the point of review. These are here to help you right before you've even written a single word on your overview design. Right then, these are here to help. We have areas like networking, performance, longevity, usability. These help you think about some of the questions that you may not think about right at the design stage, so that we can build things better right from the start. They also help with reviews because you know which bits you need to pay more attention for. If you're doing a single player, prototype, you don't need to care about half of these areas, but look at the ones that are relevant to make sure you've got the basics right first. We also, I'm going to focus a bit more on Unreal because that's what most of our projects are for this bit, but we've got some blueprint types. These are going to work for other projects that are not in Unreal, but obviously we'll call them something different, but the general principle will remain the same. But I'm going to refer to Unreal and blueprints from now on. Now, your intent blueprints. Go wild, do whatever you want in them, but keep them in your developer folder so that they don't pollute anything. You don't have to follow my standards, you don't even have to do a review, you don't have to do paperwork if you don't want to. If you need a question you want to answer before you write your design, make it. If you don't want to make it yourself, come and ask us, we'll make it. Code, if you want to try something entirely crazy but you're not quite sure, come and ask us, we'll help, it's fine. But do what you want with intent blueprints, anywhere, anytime. They're great, they answer a lot of questions, they will be brilliant. Then obviously we're going to have a prototype phase, which a tech design should be involved in, not always, but we can be, and we're here to help. Keep those in like prototype folders and things like that, or certain test maps. But you have to follow the standards that we're going to address to a moderate standard here, and you have to do a review. And the review will have to be done by people that know and can uphold our standards. Yes, that sounds like we'll be a bottleneck, but don't worry, we'll train some of you so that you can do it as well. But you won't let me change the code without following the standards. You're not going to change blueprints without following them anymore either, because that's how it leads to that mess on that first slide. And the final one is obviously your production level blueprints. They do need to be checked to a high level of our standards and do all of them. All of the standards, high reviews, lots of documentation, obviously will be in the final game. But we should never have an intent blueprint in the final game. You may get a few prototype blueprints that squeak in, but there'll never be any intent ones in there. Now, who can blueprint? I have said it once, but I will say it again. Anyone can blueprint from any department. You can do it. Follow my standards. Make sure it's reviewed by someone who knows the standards. Otherwise, I will come and get grumpy at you. And I say that in my politest way, because I could be a lot more ruder. But yeah, follow the standards, please. It will make everyone's lives easier, and the blueprints will be better, and you can make the game quicker. Now, not many people know about this, but there is a Sumo knowledge base on Confluence that if you're on a project, you have access to. This is multidiscipline area. You'll find information about live ops and lots of stuff on there. We now have a technical design section. On there, at some point, there will hopefully be a link to this talk. At some point, there is also a page where you can find your friendly technical designers at Sheffield and Nottingham, so you know who to come and talk to. And a shout out to all the guys that helped write this presentation as well. They're right over there. There is also a page on here that's got an exec summary of what technical design is for the directors who are not here to read, because it's not got very many words in it. We didn't have time to ram it into this talk, because obviously we're nearly running late already. So that is on there, along with the pillars of technical design that we created. There are 4 pillars with some very specific words in it that tell you what we can do, which are a bit more detailed than what we've done in this talk. They are on this page as well. So there's your link to it. Go and look. Again, give me feedback. Tell me what's missing. We'll get through to it. So what are we doing next? I've probably already referred to this, but we're rolling out. I wanted to say enforcing, but they said I couldn't. I'm going to. We're enforcing scripting standards, starting again at Sheffield, but it will go to Nottingham when they're ready. You don't have to do it in your intent phases and your concept phases, but anything going on from there, you do have to follow the standards. But yes, we will train you so that lots of people can review it and we're not a bottleneck. I'm very aware of that. So we're going to do that and the review guides. I also want to talk to design and code about how to improve the workflow processes, because I believe at the minute on some of the projects, the design documents are trying to do too much. They're trying to answer every question, and I think things are getting lost in there. So I think we should probably try and keep those to what should the player see, what tweakables you need, and then we'll work with code to make another documentation that's got, more precise with the implementation details, because I think at the minute, in the big massive documents we've got, it's so hard to find where anything is. And again, that doesn't help with communication problems. I also want to know, how can we help the rest of you? Audio, QA, animation, art. What do you guys need? What can I do for you? Tell me what you want, I'll see if I can do it. We're also creating a technical design pathway to put up for Sumo, Sheffield and Nottingham. If the other studios want it, feel free. When we've written it, we're about halfway through at the minute. That's where the pillars came from, because we found that helpful to make our pathway. But this will help our tech designers know what's expected of them, what they're supposed to be doing in each role, and how to improve. And that will help all of the projects in the departments know what we're here for and how to use us. We've not fully finished it, but we're nearly there. Final thing on this slide, team expansion. If everything I've mentioned today is what you're doing day to day, maybe you should be a technical designer. Come talk to me. Let's sort it out. Let's clear up the confusion of who is responsible for what. If you think it sounds fun, come talk to me. If you think it sounds awful, also come talk to me. Tell me why. But yeah, if you might want to move, come talk to me, talk to your lead, talk to your studio director. Quick summary. How do we help? We try and get rid of communication problems. We try and give the team what they need. We like workflows and processes, but we also like making or suggesting tools. Level design. Stop clicking those 12 buttons and waiting 10 minutes for something to build. Tell me, we'll write you a script so you can click one button. I am very lazy. It makes me very good at my job. Let me help you so you don't have to keep clicking the buttons. Drive me insane. Follow the scripting standards. Ask for tools. See what plugins we can get. Talk to the other departments or the studios. See what information they've got. Code. Optimization and performance should not only be on you. We know you're great at it, and you are. Let us help. If we can't do it effectively, teach us. We will learn, and then we can help. Hopefully, you won't get left at the end of a project trying to make all these things fit and having to move things out of Blueprint into code just to get to run at the frame rate that you're aiming for. If we do it earlier, it'll be easier for you, and we'll learn, and we'll be better. And again, cross-departmental support, cross-studio support. Let me know what you need, and we'll try and help you. So, that's the end of the talk. I think I've ranted at you quite enough. We're going to have questions. I'm going to say, remember, this is an open talk, so try and keep project specifics and code names out of it because it is an open talk. But any questions for either of us, let us know.
On the subject of cross-department, two of them one. On the subject of cross-department working together, on the project we're on, obviously one of the things the code team has been very conscious of from the start is writing technical design documents for all of the code systems. And that's been great, but we're very much aware that we're taking a core design brief and then splitting that out as best we see fit. It'd be really nice if we worked very closely with technical design in the future to inform the structure of these documents.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be really nice if I did my job, wouldn't it? It really would be. So, yeah, on the project we're currently on, we should have had that step in the middle. I should have given you better information. But we all know why, and that's another problem. We're trying to make games with not enough people and not people in the right roles, or we're splitting people too long. But yeah, it would have been great if I'd given you some more information rather than the occasional bullet point on there, and then we might not have had 1,000 Excel spreadsheets that all rely on me spelling things correctly. And as you might have noticed, I don't do that. So yeah, I do think we do need to put a step in there. I think the design documents are trying to do too much. Also, code, the burden of doing the technical design documents for the systems, it shouldn't all be on you guys. You guys are really clever. You've got a lot of things to be doing. Think of how many more tools or improvements you could have made to the game if you weren't, hesitate to say the word wasting your time, but having to write documents to specify exactly how it works. Have a quick chat, let us write the document. Well, not me, I'll make Dave do it because he's good at them.
Yeah, and from Nottingham view on that one, yeah, we do this actually. We do take the creative and split into technical as well, but there's only so many of us, so we can't do it for all our features, so it is something we're looking to do universally in the future.
They have sent me the documents, I've just not had time to look at it yet.
So, random open question, you don't have to say it's a good idea or a bad idea, well, say it's a bad idea if it is. What would you think about if technical design got a bit more involved with reading and understanding the TRCs and helping UI to make sure that that design is going to be compliant by the time we get through to law check and everything?
Yep, I would love to do that. I would love to have more tools with UI so that we can actually help make the UI as well. And then poor Steve wouldn't be working all hours of the day trying to do it. That would be great. And my TCR knowledge is a bit out of date because I've not had to care about it for a few years. But that would be one of the things that would be great because then we wouldn't have to redo a piece of art when we realise that we're not allowed to have certain things showing that we're fine, but not for the age group of game that we're going for. We might have seen that earlier if we actually had more people. Again, that's something that we put that burden purely on code and QA, and it shouldn't have been. Everyone should have been more aware of it right from the start, like most things. We just need to talk more, and we're here to help. We're here to help that. I won't get offended if you tell me my work that I've done is rubbish or that I'm talking absolute crap. I won't get offended. It's fine. I do sometimes. But let us know. Don't bottle it up. You won't offend me. I won't get upset. Be as rude to me as you want, it's fine. Vent your frustration from one department at me, it's fine. I'm sure they've done something wrong. I'm sure you did the other week as well. It's fine, but come and tell me and let it out. Stop bottling it up. We can make games better if we just talk. You know, just use us however you can.
Yeah, and from a smaller studio, yeah, we'd love to take on that sort of thing. It's just about using our technical designers the best we can, so we only have a certain amount right now, and maybe with team expansion we can probably take more stuff on.
Hi, great talk. General question about the data maintenance through the production. What is the role of a technical designer for you, and how to avoid that, having technical design becoming like a bottleneck of the entire production when it comes to that?
Yes, I mean, we're not the guardians of everything. I'm not trying to say don't do anything without talking to us, but we're here to help. And I'm a producer's worst nightmare. I will freely admit that. I don't sign off my tasks. I don't even ask for tasks half the time, and I work in whatever order I want. I'm one of your worst nightmares. If you want to find a way to try and control me, that would be great, because it would actually be quite helpful. But yeah, we're here to try and help, but we do see a lot of problems where going straight from design straight to code, having no time to do intent blueprints or anything like that. We need to start failing fast and failing quicker so that we can find the answers, so there were not as much reuse and rework for everyone. So, you know, that's part of what the intent blueprints are for. Let's answer the questions right at the start, earlier on. Do whatever you want to get to the answers, and then we'll make it better and make it work later on. I think we're putting a bit too much on doing everything right the first time. And we can't make AAA games like that without burning everyone out. So I don't really know how to answer your question, but let's try and find a solution. You got anything?
Thank you. Great talk. I'm in the Newcastle studio. I'm new art director there. I came from board games, so the technical side of things is very new to me. You guys talked a lot about like you guys personally, like we can help you do this. Is that like, and I'm sorry if this is at the start of the talk, I missed maybe the first minute or something, but when you talk about that, like is like you guys specifically a service for all the studios? You talked a lot about like Nottingham and Sheffield, but what access do we have to this sort of technical design initiative at Newcastle? And
cool. I would love to be available for every single studio and everyone. We're just focusing on Nottingham and Sheffield, because obviously we're from Nottingham and Sheffield, and we only have so many technical designers at the minute, again, which is why I said, if you want to be a technical designer, please, do need more of you, because we can be extremely helpful, but people don't really see it until after the project when you started working with us. But the problem that we have is when you start working with us, suddenly we can't support everyone because we don't have enough of us. You know, there's either none of us or you need quite a lot of us. The last game that I got released at a previous company, we had 9 technical designers on it, and it was a AAA. We only have 5 at Sheffield on one project, and you know, it's usually 1 or 2 or 3. So we do need more of you. But yeah, we want to be here for all of the studios. We want to share the knowledge. We want to work in similar ways so that we can just make the games quicker and better. Because if we're all working in a similar pattern and we know who to talk to, and even if you don't talk to us and we'll find out, we can make things move quicker. So we want to be for everyone. We're just focusing on our studios first, because I didn't want it to come across as going, I want to take over all the studios. We're tech design, please help us. That is what I want to say, so I did just say it. But yeah, I'm willing to help anyone. I would love to. Please talk to me.
Yeah, and to talk about Newcastle Studio, if Newcastle Studio has technical designers, get them to talk to us. We'd be happy to, you know, loop them in and get them involved in this process.
Yeah. Even if you're not called technical design, come and talk to us, because we can sort that.
Yeah. Maybe you could do it with technical designers.
Thank you, guys. Really, really great talk. Thanks both. I've got a couple of questions kind of related. So one is, when a project is being set up and the team is being resourced, and if there isn't technical design representation at that stage, the value of technical design on the team could be maybe overlooked. So what are your thoughts on how that could be addressed? The other one is, if you've got a team that's already on project and the project's in flow, and there's no technical designers on that team and there's no resource technical design on that team, are there any options to still benefit from technical design input on that project?
Cool. Great questions. I would love every project at startup or even RFP stage, in the prototype stage, I would love everyone to have access to a technical designer who can try and help. That will become easier as we get more technical designers, but we won't get more technical designers until we're actually being used more in there. Now, you don't have to have us. You can do it without you. You've been doing it for ages without us, but we are here to help. We can make it quicker. If you've got a project that doesn't have technical designers on it, that's great. You've probably got some technical designers that are core game designers on it that are probably doing it. And it would be great, again, if they talk to us, follow our standards, let me know how I can help them. And if they want to change technical design, let's change them. But yeah, you don't have to have us. Design and code can do it. You've been doing it for years, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I'm not. You guys are great. I can't do design job, I can't do proper code job. But I am good at the bit in the middle, and we can help, and there are lots of people that are. Because there are some designers that don't want to do it. There are some coders that don't want to care about the design. Let's have them not care, I'll care for you. So yeah, you don't have to have us, but if you want us, let me know. The more people want us, the more people I can get, and the more we can help. Didn't really answer your question, but it's the best I've got.
Thank you. The point you made about if there isn't like officially TV support on a project, there are probably people doing that role. Having those people get in contact with you to make sure that that's the route that your standards get into the project, I think is really sound. Thank you.
Cool.
To follow up, yeah, Nottingham Studio, I'm not aware of any project launching, but doesn't include a technical designer right now. So we try to get them in early because they produce great foundations for when we move on, get accepted for a game idea or something like that. We're already ready to go.
Thank you for your talk. Would you consider technical design still to be a subcategory of designer role or a specialisation thereof? Just because I've often heard there's like a counterpoint sort of programmer angled side, something like a systems designer, so it's often sort of used interchangeably, or is this very much something sort of sat squarely in the middle?
So, to me, this is probably going to be controversial, but I believe we're our own department. We're not on either side. I have been a technical designer under the design department. I have also been a technical designer under the code department. And my previous studio that I worked at, we were under design. We moved to under code so that we could make our technical side better and we could support design better being under code, because code saw what we did. They helped teach us. They saw how we helped. And when we were under design in that studio, they didn't see that. And we had a lot of tension of them going, well, why are you touching code? You don't know what you're doing. And we had to prove that we do sort of know what we're doing. And when we don't, teach us, please. And that worked a little bit better, but it did move us a little bit further away from design because we moved up to a different floor. And that was a problem. So I think we needed to be under code, but down with the designers to stay in touch. But yeah, we're not on... The problem with departments is that it automatically puts you on a side. And we're not on a side. I'm firmly sat on this fence, and I'm going to stay on this fence for the rest of time, because we're not for one department, we're for everyone. And again, you say design and programming. We're not just for you guys. Our audio QA, let us help you. We can make your jobs easier. It makes my job easier. And I love having an easy life.
All right, I'm going to just counterpoint a slight bit. I think it depends on the size of your studio, if I'm going to be honest. Smaller studios, you need to be more flexible. So as you can see from my background, I've got a game design background, and that really helps in a smaller studio because you need to get involved more in the game design as well. You only got a few people to make this game happen, so you need as many skills as possible. So in a smaller studio, I wouldn't recommend just having just a straight-up technical designer. Maybe with a bit of design skills will help you get that game going earlier.
That's a very good point. Studio size does matter. More.
Hi Michelle, it's been a while.
Yeah, Alex.
So we have technical design, the code is kind of the core tech team, and I'll have tech art. Should we think of those three? Because they're all serving their teams when it comes to technologies. Have you thought about how those three work together? Are they? Because there's obviously commonality there. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there are commonality. I mean, you've got tech animators as well out there that deal with behaviour graphs if you're in Unreal, which are complicated things. Now, the tech artists and the tech animators, we should talk, and we should talk with code, because obviously how the code have built the system will reflect on how things get input into what the tech art and tech animators are doing. For, you know, are they in subgraphs? So, you know, if they've got this function, is it efficient or not? How do you work it? So we do need to talk. But tech art is one of the areas that I just box and I close it because it sounds complicated. So I don't know it too well, but I'm not supposed to. So if tech art want to come and teach me how I can help you better and more, that's great, along with tech animation. Teach me what I don't know so that we can help you better, and then we can probably help code more as well, because they do a lot. They're in every single conversation. They can't keep it all in their heads, and neither should they. Just like design are in all the conversations. But everyone should be in all the conversations. We shouldn't just have a conversation of art and code. It should just be with everyone in the open channel so that we can all see. And all, sometimes point out the obvious thing in the room that no one's asked about, which is the big problem a lot of the time. One of the things I do is, what about that over there? And everyone will go, oh, Michelle's broke it again. I'm good at that. So if we do that earlier, it'll be better. So yeah, I'm not too good at tech art. I need to be taught a bit more. We should work more together, and then we would have less problems. So talk to me and I'll learn what I need to know so that I can help you better. Yeah.
And for Nottingham, as in, my point is more, both doing similar things for your departments.
Yeah.
Is there philosophies? If one's doing pillars and philosophies, perhaps separate, and the other's doing separate, maybe not.
We are not doing separate.
Okay, yes.
We are working together on the same pillars for this, with the same intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, tech art, come and tell us what you think the pillars should be. We'll see if ours cover it. You can have them. They're all on Confluence. Have a look. Give me some feedback. Tell us what we should change.
The pillars are there, yeah. We've been,
Yeah.
as of 15 of us, we've been looking at them together.
That's great.
Oh, okay. The examples that you give in your talk about blueprints and scripting standards and things like this, these all feel very kind of client side. I was wondering if technical design gets involved in any more of the kind of server side of things. Like as an economy designer, I'm always interested. I spend a lot of time dealing with the shape of item data and things like this, and does the technical design department get involved in standardizing how data gets managed and things like this?
I think we absolutely should. The current project that we're on, we didn't, and the economy people are suffering for it, and there are files everywhere, all over the place. But the live ops side is relatively new to the studio and relatively new to myself, so we did let some things slip. But again, it's a case of we didn't have enough people to cover everything we were trying to do, so things did fall through. But absolutely, we should be there helping you, defining where the data is and how it's input to make it more accessible. Because it won't just help you guys, it'll help the designers as well, right? So that you know where everything is. Because if you tweak a number over here, it's going to break that over there. And if you don't know about that thing over there, you're not going to know that you're going to break it or know to test it. So we should all be involved in the setup of the data, just like we should all be involved in the naming standards, folder structures for how things work and where things put. I like things to be nice in a neat folder. I know lots of other people will just use the search features or collections to find things, but I like them to be in a nice folder structure. But we should, when we're talking about that in the project, we should involve how is this data set up for live ops? What do we need to tweak? What needs to be server side? What can we change without having to patch the game? We should be all talking about that from a much earlier stage than what we ever have done on this project. And yeah, I would love to help. If you've got any suggestions on what we did wrong and how we should improve it, come and talk to me after and we'll try and sort it out.
I will do that.
Great. Have we got time for one more, or are we out of time? We've got one more, or shall we all go? Yeah, one more up there.
Thanks very much for the talk. It strikes me that a lot of studios across Sumo are facing the same problems and the same, right down to the nuts and bolts of how to do certain things. I don't want to say any code names of any other initiatives, but are you aware of initiatives to share common blueprint scripting libraries and things across Sumo and with your knowledge base as well? Because it's so easy to copy and paste blueprint nodes. Is that something that is on your mind?
It is on my mind. It is an open talk, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the word, but we all know of the other initiative that started last year, which, again, even I haven't looked at. I installed it, I've not opened it, I didn't have time. But, those need to be made more succinct as well so it works. But, yeah, I would love to talk to all the studios. I would love your feedback and your information, because if we're doing things in a similar way, we can share staff more easily and we can help you out. You know, if you get into a bug fixing phase of the project and you need more tech designers to come and help you, if we worked in a similar way, we can drop in and help you rather than dropping in to help you and being a burden because you have to spend 3 weeks teaching us how to do things. Because, you know, that's how these things go, isn't it? So if we're doing it in a more similar way, you won't have to spend the time bringing us up to speed because we'll be there already. So I would love to talk to you. I'd love to roll things out. I'd love to have things set up where we can just copy and paste blueprints. I use email a lot to send blueprints around. It'd be better if we had a better solution somewhere for it. So yeah, let's talk about it and see what we can do.
Yeah, and just to iterate, between Sheffield and Nottingham, we have got communications open. We do talk and we do share, especially things not to do, like, oh, don't be me. They're always good.
Cool, great. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we're out of time again. We're here all day, so come and talk to me.